What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing today? Let's see. Make sure everything's on. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Tonight's webinar, what we're going to discuss is this is mostly going to be just me doing most of the talking. We don't have a guest speaker tonight, but what I did is I was talking to a couple people at a get together the other day, and I was just hearing the different questions being asked, and people were asking different questions, and especially the newbies is who I was paying attention to, is like people that weren't necessarily doing real estate but are interested in doing real estate. So I was like, okay, like let's see what exactly they're doing. Right? Sorry, make sure that I turn that off. I don't want no noise to happen. So I wrote some of these questions down. I was actually texting myself. And so what I'm going to do is kind of go over those questions and give you some short answers to them. If anybody has, you can type into the chat. You can actually go on to the streaming platform that we stream off of. It's called StreamYard. You can go on StreamYard and actually join the webinar. We do have comment sections and all that kind of stuff set up. So, there's some different things right there that you can do if you have questions or you want to type. If you're watching us on YouTube or anything along those lines, you can just click right away and kind of join. But yeah, let's go over some of the questions. And I wrote them all down and I put some topics for me to touch on right under so we could see. So I'm going to share my page. I'm going to share my screen. I'll show this again. And we're going to share this screen right here. So I'll zoom in so it's kind of easier for everyone to see. And I broke them up into 3 categories. So the first category I broke it up to was funding questions. I broke it up into some flipping questions that I heard. And I broke it up into some different wholesale questions. Okay. So the very first, we'll start from the beginning, going through funding, because funding is usually what keeps people from wanting to get started, or they'll see it and they're like, no, this isn't what I want to do, or, it's impossible for someone like me to ever do this kind of business. So the first thing is, what are my financing options for real estate deals? Okay. I'm going to tell everybody, if you want to flip a house, 99% of the people that are going to start are going to use hard money lenders. Okay, now I have a new list of hard money lenders that I'm going to be putting on the omegacollective.com. But what you have to do is you have to find a lender that will lend in your area. So if you look here, let me actually show you what I started doing a long time ago. And let's let this load up. I know I'm streaming, so it might slow down just a little bit. But if we go to the library on the website, go to the omegacollective.com library, and if we go to the form section and you go down to profile, so if we look at the hard money lender profile, what it does is it has questions that you can ask particular lenders, right? So the number one thing you want to do is you want to see what these guys are lending in your area. So just say you Google hard money lenders in San Antonio or wherever you are, hard money lenders in Colorado Springs, right? It's a smaller market, but people still lend there. You go and you start talking to these lenders. Well, you want to understand what they loan on, or what their loan, how they loan. So you can gather all their information. You can learn their lending criteria. And if you go on the omegacollective.com website and watch videos, I teach you what each of these sections mean. But you start profiling lenders in your area so you know what their criteria is. Okay, so you want to explore the different lenders. Now, maybe you're blessed with a lot of money already and you can be your own private lender, but you have the ability to do more than one deal if you still use a hard money lender and you kind of risk the hard money lender's money instead of your own, instead of using all your own money to do each deal. Hard money lenders are a good way to go. Everyone freaks out because, their starting terms, right now you're looking at 12 to 14%. Depending on the market and depending on the deal and depending on you. A lot of these lenders don't require massive amounts of great credit. Usually, the decent lenders are requiring you to have at least a 600. What a lot of these lenders are requiring you to do is to have money in the bank. So they want to make sure you have, a couple months reserve. When I did my very first deal, I used Streamline Funding. They gave me 12% interest. It was my very first deal. I don't even remember what my credit was. It was so long ago. And they wanted me to prepay 3 months. They're like, we want you to prepay 3 months of payments. And it was just for a 6-month loan. So they wanted me to pay half the loan up front, half the interest payments up front, which I was fine with. We prepaid the payments. We did the deal. The deal took a little longer than 6 months. We paid for one extension, but we sold the property in 8 months. But that's your hard money term. So most hard money loans are interest only. And it's just a big question everyone has. Is there financing options for somebody that doesn't have three or four, $200,000 to be able to do a real estate deal? There is. There are some different things that you can do. What you have to do is find these different lenders, find out what their terms are, and kind of utilize that. Private money lenders. Now, private money lenders are a great way to go if you don't like a bunch of red tape. They're usually easier to work with. You're dealing directly with them, so some different things can get done. It's easier for you to be able to acquire the property. Not have to have so many requirements. The problem is most private money lenders are going to want bigger parts of your profit. So if it's your first deal, and I tell this to everybody, if you're going to flip a house and someone's like, hey, my aunt Lisa is going to fund my deal, what should I pay her? And I was like, well, is this your first deal? Like, yeah. I was like, well, you should offer a lot of the profit. It's a high risk. And again, you want to just make sure both parties are happy going into the situation. So how I would approach a private lender, it's like, hey, David, what are you making on your money right now? And if someone comes back to me and they're like, you know what, right now I'm making 10%, the market's doing really, I have a high yield savings account, everything's going really, really well. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Would you be happy if you made 20% on your money in about a year, secured by real estate? And they're like, well, yeah, it's double what I'm getting now. That would be fantastic. It's like, obviously there's some risk because any kind of investment you do, there's a risk, but it's secured by real estate. So it's a really, really good opportunity. And a lot of people, okay, that sounds really, really good. So a good thing to do is if you start using private monies, ask them what returns they're getting now. If you figure out the returns they're getting now and if they're doing good or not, you can, instead of offering them half the profit or different things along those lines, you have the ability to double what they're getting now, which makes them very happy and which makes you happy. You're not having to give them all the profit. So that's a little tip for private money lenders. Traditional loans, it's kind of difficult to do real estate flipping necessarily with the traditional loan. I will tell you, I have a buddy that lives up in the Dallas area now, and he was in the Navy. So what he did is he was stationed in Florida. He bought a house. Him and his family bought a house. They lived there for a couple years. They bought another house, refinanced out of his VA loan where he doesn't have to put anything down, refinanced it to a conventional loan, rented that house out, got a renter in there that's covering all that debt, used his VA loan again because it was freed up after the refinance, bought another house, lived there for a couple years until, the 1 year obligations passed, or I believe it's still 1 year. After the obligations passed, refinanced out of the VA loan, started renting that house, did it again, bought another house. And just now recently, I haven't caught up with him in a little bit, but I know he had sold one of those rentals or a few of those rentals to pay. He's completely debt free, no bills. He has no bills now. So he's doing really, really well. And that's a little outside of the norm. But if you're served in the military and you have access to a VA loan, it's a really good opportunity and gives you the ability to be able to be like, hey, that is a way for me to utilize my benefits of being able to acquire properties. Because in a VA loan, you have to live in the house for, some time, but you can't just you can't buy a VA and then rent it right away. It's against the law. Same thing with FHA. You can get in some trouble with all that. Again, I'm not an attorney. I don't know the law, so you should verify that in your different parts of the country. The next question is, how much should I set aside for unexpected costs? Budgeting for contingencies, repairs, holding costs, closing fees. When I was dealing with the hard money lender, they made us prepay 3 months, and we didn't have the liquid funds to hold it for the whole 8. So the 2 months that we had to go extra, it ended up costing us an extra $1,000 and then 2 extra months. we weren't prepared for that. So that ended up coming out of my pocket. So I would try to recommend is like always have a 2-month buffer. Um, so you're able to make adjustments, make changes, and get things done in that aspect. What are the key? So, holding costs for contingencies when you're dealing with, if you're dealing with repairs, you need to make sure that you're not giving a lot of money up front. I would never give a contractor more than $500 to start. I've went back and forth with different people across the entire country asking these different questions or what they should do or different things along those lines. 99% of the time when people overpay, they get shot in the foot. It just they can't help themselves. They're gonna something is gonna happen that's gonna cost them money and is gonna hurt them. So I would not recommend you giving. There's an example, a contractor I used a couple years ago. I've never given him money up front. Thought he's a pretty stand-up guy. Recommended him to somebody. Now I tell everybody, just because this guy's great for me doesn't mean he's gonna be great for you. What ended up happening is this contractor got him to give him, I think it was like $25,000 up front, and they ended up going over like 20,000 on the deal. And he's like, man, that contractor screwed me over. And he's pissed off at me like it was my fault. And I explained to him, I was like, I've talked to you till I'm blue in the face for years that you never give a large amount of money to anybody up front. If you have to order the materials yourself and they pick it up and you give them a gas card for having to pick it up, it's worth the expense. Do not give them a ton of money up front. If they're like, I have to pay my contractors, whatever they say they have to do, you cannot do it because life happens. And I do believe that most people do not enter a situation with the idea to screw people over. But when life happens, a family member dies, your kid breaks their arm, something comes along the lines like, well, I have $15,000. It's not mine sitting in the bank. I'll do whatever it is to take care of my family. Or my grandma died. I have to pay for a funeral and I'll make it up on the back end. And at the end of the deal, they're $10,000 to get the deal short. Who's going to end up paying for that? It's going to be you. So never give them too much money. The way you want to deal with contractors, and I don't even remember if this is one of the questions, is you want to always owe the contractor money. Because when you owe the contractor money, they come back. When you owe them money and they're like, when they see that, hey, I owe this, David owes me $2,000. Well, guess who's going to show up at work? You'll be there to get that $2,000 because, guys, 100% of the time, they want to get paid. Now, if you come from the example of, oh, he's doing great. He owes me $2,000 worth of work. It doesn't hurt his feelings when he owes you work and you don't owe him money. You always want to be, one of my mentors always said is, I will never, and I used to think he was an a-hole. I was like, man, this guy is mean. But he's like, I will never owe a contractor. He said, a contractor will never owe me work. And I've seen him chew out, licensed so-called general contractors is like general contractors complaining, well, I did this for so many years and so much stuff has gone on and I've always paid my guys. And my mentor is like, no, he's like, I will never have a contractor owe me work. I will always owe them money. And I'm telling you, that's just how you have to do it. You have to come from the place of they have to owe you, that you owe them money. Never have them owe you work. I think a good 10% contingency. So if you have a $50,000 repairs, it's nice to have a decent contingency for unexpected cost, or at least a credit card to be able to cover for that. The next question is, what are some key differences between funding a flip versus wholesaling? Well, I wrote, flipping often requires upfront capital for purchase and rehab, while wholesaling typically involves minimal capital as you're signing a contract. I have a property, got it under contract. I'm going to make a couple $1,000s on it, and it cost me $10. And the $10 even gets refunded to me at the end of the deal. So that is a true no money out of pocket deal. Do people still do deals like that? Yes, 100% all the time. For all the people that have done tons of deals, like, oh, you put $10 down as earnest money, you're not a real investor. I've been doing it for years. It's always worked. I've had 2 or 3 people complain about it. And when someone tells me, David, why, they're like, why, when I bought my house, I had to put 1% earnest money. Why are you only putting so little? It's like, well, we close on our properties cash. If we close them like cash, if we're using hard money, and I have to have my funds readily available to be able to move on the property. So I can't be locking, if I have 10 deals locked up and everyone wants $1,000, that's $10,000. I can't have that amount of money locked up on deals that haven't closed yet. So that's why I put a low amount of earnest money deposit. When you're flipping properties, you need to have earnest money deposit. You need to be able to sometimes pay for the insurance up front. You need to sometimes, have the ability to pay for your surveys or pay for, um, pay for the different things that cost to acquire the property, changing the locks, lock boxes, all that stuff, making sure you have that stuff move quickly. Whether you're flipping or wholesaling, you should have a pile of lock boxes in your vehicle, no matter what. That's pretty important. There we go. The next question is, how can I attract private money lenders for my deals? Building credibility is a clear business plan, having good examples of showing returns, but just doing deals. It's like, hey, I've done 4 or 5 deals. We were very successful in that aspect. Here's what we did. Here's how we did it. And go from there. And building that portfolio of completed deals, I call it, it's like a brag book. It's like, hey, well, I did this property, I did this property, I did this property, and then show them, everyone's going to have a deal where they don't make a ton of money or they lose money. It's like, look, I lost money in this situation. Here's what happened. Here's how we focused on it. And this is how we got through it. But there's some different, having a book that shows the deals you've done. And if you're brand new and you're getting someone new, explain to them, look, I'm offering you an amazing return on your money because this is my first deal. Now, whether you're a mega collective student or you've talked to, been through different classes or things along those lines, you want to make sure that people are utilizing your actual skills. But you want to make sure you listen to the skills, but nothing teaches you like experience. And then once you have a lot of experience and you've done multiple deals, nicer houses, little dumpy houses, low ARV properties, people are going to feel more comfortable lending you lots of money that they've been saving their whole life to build that because they know what you're doing. So that's the best way to attract private money. What's the maximum leverage I should use for a flip to avoid financial risk? When I buy a property, I buy 70% of the ARV minus repairs. Okay, that's my wholesaling criteria. Whenever I find a deal, it's ARV times 0.70 minus repairs. I don't minus cost of money because most of those wholesale deals, that's not my issue. They need to take into account for that. If I was flipping the property, 70% of ARV minus repairs minus the holding cost. What is it going to cost for me to hold? What's the cost of the money? So ARV times 0.70 minus repairs minus the holding cost. When I wholesale a deal, usually we're wholesaling at 75% of the ARV. I think that's borderline. If you start getting to 80, 85, 90% of the ARV, you are really shooting yourself in the foot. For those type of deals, you need to make sure you're in a hyper market where properties are moving very quickly. There's low days on market. There's not a lot of inventory and there's a lot of solds. You start getting into that area, you'll start seeing, okay, I can pay more for this property because there's high demand and there's very low days on market. If you buy a property that's very low in demand and there's lots of inventory and you buy it at that price, you're going to end up losing money because since there's so many properties, you'll end up lowering your price, which eats into your profit or eliminates your profit. So depending on the deal is one of the big things to understand what kind of leverage you can actually utilize. But a safe is, if you want to be super safe, buy 65% of the ARV. That's what they used to teach when flipping first came around. If you're buying a 65% of the ARV, which is a very hard way to find deals, it's a very tough way for you to get deals. 100% of the time, you'll have a profit built into that. Okay, let's see what's next. Let's scroll down a little bit. Oh, that's it for the funding questions. Let's look at the flipping questions. How do I accurately estimate rehab costs? So one thing that I wrote down, you can partner with a reliable contractor, use rehab calculators to assess materials, labors, and timelines. If you're going to be good at this job, if you're going to be a proper flipper and know exactly what you're doing, you will have to utilize your brain. and learn. It doesn't matter what I tell you, what someone tells you the estimate of repairs are. It will be a good idea for you to look at a couple of houses that are going to need repairs. Write down, I have a list of everything you want to do on a house on the Mega Collective website, right? Everything that you want to do to a property. And obviously, when you rehab a house, you're fixing everything, but the things you're going to have to focus on and look at. Now, if you find a good contractor or a good contractor that come out and give you bids, you need to meet with that contractor, walk with them everywhere they go, have an iPad, have a notepad, have something to take notes, and pay attention to the individual items that they bid. Now, if you go into this and you're like, I have no contractors, I have nothing, I'm going to call random people off Angie's List on Facebook. When these contractors come out, you're going to have to tell them, even if you go into a new market and you know nobody, you need to meet with multiple contractors on every deal, on multiple, 3 electricians, 3 plumbers, 3 roofers, and tell them, I need a detailed bid so you can pay attention to what the cost, how much of the materials, how much of the shingles, how much of the nails for a roofer, how much is the drip edge, how much does all these things cost? And you need to start writing that down and build yourself a spreadsheet on what the average cost of these items are. And then you need to look at supply. Where do they get their shingles? Check Home Depot and Lowe's, that's retail. But there's also lots of sources that contractors use to get shingles, nails, different things along those lines. You need to research that place and then find what the material costs. And once you start utilizing that, you have to update it every once in a while. I'm working on a pamphlet right now for 2025 with updated repair costs, what it costs to get things done, because things have gotten crazy since COVID. Between COVID and our last administration, everything is the current administration, actually, everything is so expensive that lots of people that have been doing this business for a long time are like, man, it used to cost, I got this house rehab for $18,000. That exact same house is $28,000 now. And it's not necessarily the material costs have gone up, but a lot of people have just raised their prices because everything's gotten so expensive. And you have to kind of get averages on there and then negotiate. Never ever accept someone's first number. Negotiate with them. Say, look, this is where I'm at. I want to do multiple deals. Your general contractor comes in at $25,000. You're at $25,000. Now, don't hit them over the head. I'm at $22,000. Can we meet at $23,000? Can we do something along those lines? You need to negotiate with the different people. But to get proper rehab, you have to understand the cost of materials and you have to understand the cost of labor. And how you're going to figure out that labor cost is by getting multiple bids. Call the big giant companies, call the little guy off Facebook, call the people in between, pay attention to what they're driving, pay attention to how they show up to the job. What are they using for material? When you get a foundation guy, is he going in there with a level? He's like, oh, I got a little level, I'm sitting it down, or, it's my name tag. He's like, I got a little level to check the foundation. Are they going in there? I call it a noodle. It's a machine they set in the middle of the house and they go in each corner of the property and it actually tells them the degrees the foundation's off. What kind of tools are they using? Are they presentable? Are they pulling up to give you a repair on a fence and an F350, with a 10-inch lift, height, airbags, 50-inch rims? That guy's going to charge a lot because look at his lifestyle. They're going to pull up in a regular truck, get things done, make things happen that way. Pay attention to the people who are coming, and that's a good way for you to get an idea and start learning how to figure out how to get the repair costs. The next is, what is the 70% rule and how does it apply to a flip? So why I purchased a 70% of the ARV because that eliminates closing costs and selling costs right then and there. I do ARV times 0.70 minus repairs, and right there is going to give you an offer. If you offer at that price and you get it accepted, if the days on market and the available inventory is not crazy, you're not oversaturated with inventory, you will be able to wholesale that property. If it's a decent market, if you can get a property at 70% of the ARV minus repairs, and the days on market aren't ridiculous, and there's not oversaturated amount of available properties, you can wholesale it in any market. You can do it. Get one under contract. If your ARV and stuff's right and you need help doing it, reach out to me. I will help you wholesale it. You have to pay me though. I don't do nothing for free anymore. Those days are gone. I'm retired from being free. But it's a really, really, really good opportunity. For that's the number one rule, is understanding that. The number one rule in real estate is understanding how to come up with the proper ARV. It's one of the first videos I created. How do you analyze comparables to get a proper after repair value? Okay. So, what is the 70% rule and how does it apply to my flip? It is the formula to be able to find deals. Scroll down. Oh, look, we're running out of questions. So what time is it? 7:26. Man, that's going quick. So let's see. I have wholesaling questions. So how do I find motivated sellers for wholesaling? Um, so you can use the same strategies you use when you actually go look. When when you drive, I drive for dollars a lot. It's my favorite. The number one way to find deals wholesaling is to cold call. People use AIs. I spent thousands of dollars with AI, with not AI. AI is what I'm working on now. I spent thousands of dollars with virtual assistants, and do they work? Sometimes. There's nothing better than getting a list, getting in the office, multiple screens, and dialing and talking to people and being a human and actually talking to these people. A lot of these people are going to cuss you out, but for every 1,000 calls you make, you will get a deal. You know what I mean? 100% you will get a deal. So it's so important that you actually do it. So what I like to tell people all the time, doing those strategies, it doesn't cost anything. Create a Google Voice, get yourself a list. If you're a part of the Omega, there we go. Can you hear me? Yeah. It disconnected for a second there. So using those strategies, direct mail, we've spent thousands of dollars on direct mail, and can't hear you. Damn, what happened? Can you hear me now? Let me see. Let me check my mic. Settings, audio, mic. Oh, there you go. Awesome. Y'all can hear me. Cool. I don't know what happened. I need to stop touching the mic. I'm messing with it. I must have unplugged it or something. Cool. So, in the strategies like direct mail, that costs lots of money. Driving for dollars costs a lot of gas. But I love to drive for dollars. It's my favorite way to find deals. But most of the deals, the big giant deals that you're seeing large fees and is sitting in your office, sitting somewhere quiet and dialing. You can use Mojo Dialer, you can pay for one of those fancy dialers. The best thing I'll tell you starting off is get a computer with multiple screens, get yourself a headset. Look, I've had this headset for 10 or 11 years. When I used to work for Armando, they bought us these headsets, and when I left Armando's, I took my headset with me. Me and this headset are friends. I could walk around my whole house, front yard, backyard, around. Not, I can't go out of my neighborhood, but I can go about 40 feet from my house on my headset talking to somebody. And when you talk to somebody, when you're walking and standing up, you get better inflection. You sound better. So I'm in there. I'll sit there. I'm talking to him. If someone comes up, I hit mute real quick. I'm like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Get back on the call. If you're using Mojo Dialer, it constantly dials. You don't have to do nothing. But if you can't afford that and you're just getting started, the best advice for you is to copy and paste. Get your Google Voice, get your list on one screen, get all this going. I will screen record that, and I'm going to put it on the Omega Collective website of how I make calls. And we're going to, John Pisano is going to join us again, and we're going to do a session where we cold call all live on the webinar and just see if we get any people and kind of talk to them and see if they tell us they'll probably tell us you'll get lots of screw off and go away, but you also will get a lot of people that actually need help. So there's some different things you can do there. When you start looking for motivated sellers, the flip side of that is you need to build yourself a solid buyers list. You need to know people that are going to sell properties. One thing you can do is have a realtor send you a list of all the sold properties and the potential in the areas that you're focusing on, and have them filter that list by cash buyers. That is a real easy way for you to start building a cash buyers list. Um, and then when you research those people, you skip trace your cash buyers, get their emails, and when you start finding a deal under contract, start marketing to them. Tell these guys, hey, I'm interested in finding a deal, or this is what I have to do, or different things along those lines, and that actually helps you. So making sure you do that. You can attend meetups, join investor groups. I'm built so everyone that's on here, the Omega Collective is new, right? I think there's 17 members. And out of those 17 members, 3 of them are constantly requesting help. One of our ladies is a premium member, so she constantly, like, she paid a lot for it. Is our most expensive package, so she's on it. She's doing good things. But a lot of people are joined and they're getting information, they're learning different things, but it's not their super focus. They're doing other things, which is fine. They're getting the information, what they need, and they're supporting the Omega Collective, which is great. But it's brand new, so we're building something good. And like, I'll point you in other directions, like, hey, you should go to this meetup, or the meetup stopped after COVID completely. There's a few people doing some get-togethers, but it's something that hasn't come back great yet. So, I mean, after the Omega Collective grows large enough, I always say when I get 1,000 members, I want to do like a get together. Like, I'll rent a big room. We all get together and, talk about deals, finding real estate, and just really network person in person. But we need 973 more members. So get with it. Go sign up. But yeah, so those are the big things. I'll tell everybody, when you get into this business, when you first start, the first thing you want to do is learn how to find deals, start looking for properties. At the same time, you need to learn how to analyze properties, looking at comparables, looking at the ARV. Like I tell everybody that wants to get into this business, it's not easy. This is a make or break business. Like, you're either going to do it and be successful, or you're going to try and fail. There's no, I'm going to try to do, like, I have you can't see it because it's hidden behind one of my giant Funko Pops, Yoda. There's no try. There's just do. And you'll come across obstacles. Things will happen that hurt you, and you'll get stuck. But to be successful, like, you have to keep going. You really have to do it, because, like 100 times I've said it, you're going to come up with adversity in everything you do to become successful. And people, as soon as one bad thing happens, they give up. If I were to give up every time something bad happened, I wouldn't be doing anything. I would be working in a call center somewhere, or I'd probably still be in McDonald's, my very first job, where it's easy and I was just having fun making money and serving people, and it's great. But if you want to actually do a business and be successful, you have to come up with that adversity and understand that it's not going to be easy. There's lots of things you're going to have to do. You're going to have to take different steps. And when you do that, you'll start seeing success, and it'll start changing. And then your endorphins go up because you're like taking risks that you never thought you would. So I still have the same promo going off. I never finished having all 10. So if anybody wants to join the Omega Collective, on the annual plans, I have 50% off the premium plan. For the pro plan, I think I have 200 off. So it makes it just a flat 500. And the beginner plan is no discount because it's $200 or $249, something like that. Some updates that I do have coming up is that we will have a free member section. So I want to grow, and like, there won't be a lot of stuff available. I will start adding stuff on there for the free members as well. But the omegacollective.com will have a free section. I'm thinking by Sunday. I just created the pages, I added the links, and I have to make sure everything gets connected, and then run it by a developer to make sure I didn't break anything before it can go live. But I've been working on that every night since Tuesday. Someone gave me advice. I was speaking to a gentleman in Houston, and he's like, "You need a free section." And I was like, "Why?" I'm tired of doing stuff for free. And he's like, "David, you need a free section so people can see how good you are and then they'll join. So I thought that was great. So I will have a free section to where we can grow the membership. There will be free members, but they won't get far as much as the paid members. Does anyone have any questions? You can type your questions in any of the. I'm live on every platform except for Instagram and TikTok. TikTok does not like to use other streaming platforms, so I have to figure it out. But I will have it. I think I will have it by next Thursday. So, does anyone have any questions? The chat is open. You can just type in the chat, and it'll pop up on my screen for all the things. And I think that's all I have for tonight. I think we're 36 minutes past the hour. And if no one has any questions, we can end there. If you do decide you want to join the Omega Collective and you want to check out a membership, there is, like I said, if you do an annual plan, you can get, if you use Big Stacks 24, you get 50% off the premium package. And then it's like $200 off the pro package. And as always, if you don't know who I am, please like, follow, and subscribe. We're putting content on all platforms. And I think that's it. So I'm done for the night, guys. You all have a blessed day. And if you have any questions, hit me up. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. So I'm even on Twitch. I don't even have any followers on Twitch, and I'm streaming on Twitch. So we're on all platforms. And good night, Pam. You have a wonderful evening. And I think Manuel was here. Alex was here as well. So Alex, you have a wonderful night as well. And whoever the other 5 people are. We got 4 people on YouTube and 1 person on Twitch. Oh, someone's on Twitch. Hey, whoever's following me on Twitch, you're awesome. You're my first Twitch follower. I stream on Twitch, but I don't even think I have Twitch followers. So that is awesome. But we're going to end it there, guys. Again, like and follow us on all platforms. We're building something amazing. And we'll see you guys next Thursday. Have a blessed night. Mm-hmm.